All right, I'm honored today. Today's guest is the renowned technical analyst and YouTube sensation. He has almost 70,000 subscribers on YouTube. I think he's at 67,200-ish. So make sure you get over there and give him that push to 70K. He's been covering the gold and silver market. I did a little deep dive into his past for over 11 years on YouTube. So he is an OG in the gold and silver YouTube coverage. Mr. DavinciJ15. He's on, that's his YouTube handle and his Twitter handle. So I want to say thank you for being the first guest on the Vires and Numeris Podcast, available on Bryer.io, YouTube, and Anchor.
Well, thanks. I'm glad to be here, man. Yeah, I know that my handle is kind of weird, isn't it? But back in the days, right, I just go DavinciJ. Does that work? No? Okay, well, I'll put in 15, which is my birth date, right? So, yeah, that's why I got that one.
Yeah, I was amazed. I thought you'd been covering it for like 6 or 7 years, and I went back before we came on here, and I was like, wow, 11 years, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've actually been in the Bitcoin space since 2011. I remember that the day that I saw it, I was like, oh my God, I was so excited about it because
I actually have that on the list here, so we'll get to that in a moment.
Okay,
I like to start in these podcasts that I've done in the past and this new one. I like to know a little bit about your backstory because I hear, I see you on all these videos and stuff, and I always wonder like where people grew up, how what kind of student you were, so where you started in life, basically.
Sure. Okay, let's just start it. So what would you like to know first?
Yeah, where did you grow up? Are you American?
No, I'm from Canada, and I grew up in Toronto. I grew up in a poor neighborhood. I don't know if anybody knows where Flemington Park is, but man, it was like the hood. And it's even worse now, but I grew up there, and I was like, I was below average student for quite some time. My parents never thought I'd amount to anything. They was always looking at my younger brother, right, thinking that he was going to go on to become a scientist, right, because he was like so curious about everything. Me, I just wanted to play video games. And that's
you were a gamer in your youth. That was your interest.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's how I got it on game. And my first computer was a VIC-20 with 5K of RAM. and 3 of it was used by the operating system.
Wow.
Right? So to understand what 5K of RAM is, right? Put it this way: an email would wipe it out. Okay.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
So yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I learned how to program on that. I learned to program BASIC, right? And then I got a Commodore 64 with 64K of RAM. Oh my God, bottomless.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's crazy how the numbers are today. We are talking about gigabytes of RAM now. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, and so really, this YouTube thing was just a hobby, and it still is actually for me. My real passion in life is programming and making programs. So
very cool.
So I'm gonna stick to that and build applications basically.
It seems to suit you well. You've had a lot of success in programming in this field.
Yeah.
So when did you start getting interested in like technical analysis and economics and that sort of stuff?
Well, there's 2 parts to that question, right? And they're 2 separate parts, really. Let's start with the economics. I started getting interested in economics when in 2007, I watched a Republican debate, right? This is when I was a socialist, okay? So get this straight. I don't even understand why I was watching a Republican debate.
Just
and Ron,
TV probably.
Yeah. And Ron Paul said that our monetary system transfers wealth from the poor and the middle class to the rich, and it's an unfair system. And I'm like, no, it's not. How could that be? Is the government bad? That's impossible. That's impossible.
So you went back and you started fact checking what he was saying, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I just fell through the rabbit hole, and I realized I didn't know how money worked and how our financial system worked. And man, was it ever an eye-opening experience. I remember a time when I was completely in debt. I had like 2 cars and a big house, and debt up to my eyeballs. And I remember shoveling the snow and thinking before I heard about Ron Paul, thinking, you know what, I'm supposed to be happy here, but I'm really not, and I don't know why. Right? I have everything, right? But something's missing. And then you know what, I don't know. Ever since I heard about this story and learned about how money works, I sold the house, sold all the cars, bought with cash cars instead of with credit, right? Whatever car I needed. And it was like a lot less of a car, but it got me from A to B, right? And that's it, right? And yeah, I completely changed my life.
I'm actually I'm a big Ron Paul. He was like my converter into the Austrian school and all that stuff too. So I had a similar sort of thing happen in 2010. I came across one of his videos and then ended up working a little bit for his campaign. And what you just said about the cars and over leveraging yourself, one of his famous quotes that I love is, "As long as we live beyond our means, we're destined to live beneath them." So I think that really like resonates with me too.
Exactly. And it's made a huge impact on my life, that just getting rid of all that debt and doing things totally opposite than what you're currently doing. Most people are currently doing right now. It's a monkey off your back that and then you get more from it, right? Way more over time, right? Just by not going into debt and using the gold and silver and real assets and stuff like that as your means of savings and so forth. You'll see things so much differently if you just stop doing what the bankers want you to do, and just doing the opposite, basically. And you'll see a huge different improvement in your life. It's not going to happen overnight, of course, right? But over time, you'll see it.
But yeah, they've kind of made the capitalist the enemy, in the news, and just schooling today. It's like somebody is oppressing you. Really, these are the people that are really the greatest benefactors, in my opinion, to humanity, is the people that create all the wealth, and like you're talking about, kind of the people that are willing to put themselves out there in the long run, try to build something for the future. So I definitely think that.
Yeah, I'd like to ask anybody who says, "Oh, I'm feeling oppressed by capitalists." Okay, so let me get this straight. A capitalist who builds something for you, right, and you get to choose whether or not you want to buy it or not, he's oppressing you. Whilst your government tells you what you're supposed to do, and he's not suppressing you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's like they beat common sense out of us, right? Yeah, they have beaten common sense out of people. A voluntary action like buying something on the market is a bad thing.
Oppression.
Where somebody is
oppression.
Yeah, you're being oppressed.
They're stealing from you.
Compulsory taxation is a good thing in their mind. These, people, because there's a lot of reasons why. There's, you learn this stuff and you read the Austrian school. There's very low market demand for intellectual, work and stuff, writing and things like that. So they kind of draw them they pull them in to their state mafia. But so. And I was kind of curious. What do you consider? You're an Austrian school guy. Would you say you're an Austrian?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I ever since I learned what the difference, right? Yeah.
So what would you consider yourself, an anarcho-capitalist, or you're more of a minarchist guy?
No, I'm more like a libertarian. So I do believe in some government, only because, of course, right, the socialists will always gather together every single time. And the only way for them to exist is through capitalistic means, just stealing the production of capitalists.
Mm-hmm.
And so once they realize that, hey, this is not working out, right, they're going to go to the capitalists to take their wealth. And so by that, we need some sort of national federal government to defend our rights to our property, basically, our property rights, right? From socialist or communist governments, and they will form, right? And they'll always exist, and because of that, we need that protection from them. They can do whatever they want. That's fine. That's what I believe. I think it should be free. People should be free to decide, hey, you know what? I don't agree with this capitalist model.
Mm-hmm.
I believe with the socialist model, and go live there, right? And just go to that and live that life. When you realize it's not working, you're always welcome back.
That's exactly how I feel. You're not as willing to let us go. You are, produced without their sort of the parasitic nature.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they're not as kind to us, I guess.
Exactly.
So moving into Bitcoin, I wanted to get into that a little bit because I actually saw one of your videos. You had a Ron Paul sign in the background, so I wanted to ask you about that. So you found Bitcoin? I think you said 2011.
Yes, exactly.
What were your initial thoughts? Did you think it could work? What was your first impression?
Well, because I actually, before I heard about it, I decided I wanted to create a monetary system that was exactly like that, right? Or, it was a decentralized system to allow people to trade a digital asset back and forth. I started researching it, right? Because that's what I do as a developer. And I didn't do it hard enough, unfortunately. But anyways, I started researching and found out that it was just one of those computer science problems that couldn't be solved, and nobody could come up with a solution for it. So depressed as I was, right, I remember even doing a video saying, hey, asking, I know I have a lot of developers out there watching my videos, right? There's got to be a way to create this cryptocurrency, a currency. I didn't say cryptocurrency, but a digital currency.
What you're talking about is the Byzantine generals problem.
Exactly. And I was nobody. Well, actually, the double spend problem is the real issue. Is how do you prevent somebody from just copying a digital asset is the real problem. But anyways, so I remember doing this video, and you know what? I would pay somebody money if they could find that video, because I've been searching and I don't know where it is. I remember doing this video and seeing the comments discussing this amongst the developers, and they were like saying there's just no way, and even if it was, it wouldn't work, nobody would want it, and so forth, right? And so there was like a whole bunch of disagreement on definitely there was disagreement on whether or not people would actually use it because of economics. But anyways, yeah, so after learning that, when I heard about Bitcoin, the immediate thing I said to myself was scam. You can't solve the double spend problem, right? But you know what? Since I'm a developer, I'm going to show you guys how this is a scam, right? I read the white paper, right? And I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe. Let me take a look at the source code. And then when I saw the source code and I saw all the opcodes and everything, I'm like, oh darn, this guy really thought this through. And it's possible. And I remember doing a video that said every once in a while something comes along that you can buy really cheap and you're going to be a millionaire one day. And this is one of them.
Right. I still think we're in the infancy of this whole thing. We can get into that price stuff a little bit towards the end here. But yeah, everybody has an interesting story about how they found Bitcoin. And you as a programmer, it's definitely interesting. I came across it with no background in really computers at all, other than knowing how to use the internet and stuff. And in 2009, I was finishing up school, and I was interested from the economic side, but I felt the same way. I'm like, could this, it could work, but who knows, really? We'll have to wait and see. But as we've gone on, it's been, many people and organizations have tried to break it and hasn't broken yet. So I'm pretty optimistic about the future.
Exactly. I mean, it's been out there, right, for everybody to hack, and there's a huge bounty if you figure out how to do it, right? And I remember I answered a tweet where somebody says, "Oh, it's an open source system where anybody can copy, and there's millions of them." I'm like, okay, then please give me a Bitcoin, right, that you can
Right.
copy. Please, I like one, right?
They don't, the novice and the average person has no idea about first mover advantage, how the network is secured, any of that stuff. So it is like a building. It takes so long to really understand what's going on underneath the hood. Is like you really have to put the time in to really understand it. Even a lot of people that are in it, I still don't think get it.
But I find that interesting that people. I find it interesting that people equate you could creating actual Bitcoin. That's different, right? And a computer, and then I create another computer, is two different computers, right? I mean, people can't seem to understand that. I mean, the original is here, and I just copied another one over here, but this is still original. There's only one Mona Lisa, but if I copy that and make millions of them, right, that means there's millions of Mona Lisas? No, dog. There's still only one.
Right, yeah. People they don't think about, they don't have the background. They really don't. So when did you start, when was your movement into like technical analysis? I mean, you've become a pretty big guy on YouTube in this time. Were you breaking down gold and silver before? I know you were having videos about it, but were you doing a lot of TA on gold and silver as well, or?
No, I did not do TA. In fact, I didn't even believe in TA back then, and believe it or not. And what happened was I opened up a company called Collecta to be a what's it called, a mutual fund for cryptocurrencies, right? And it was just a buy and hold thing, right? And I realized that what, buy and hold, right? That's a better way to do. So I think they up and down like a horse, and it's an advantage to. There's a way to make some money from this. So the first thing I did was, what, I can't trade myself. I know I tried many times and lost a lot of money, right? I've tried to pretend like I was a trader, and I lost like hundreds and hundreds of Bitcoins over my over like between 20 when I first got in and all the way to when I first started to learn to trade at 2015. Mm-hmm. Took some classes and studied how to trade, and then I learned this method of trading. Well, it's not really trading, but it's really a method of investing, which really resonated with me. It was called the Little Old Lady Strategy, and it was created by Bryan of the Rational Investor. And I used that strategy, and over 2 years, I managed to turn $20,000 into $10 million.
Wow. That's beautiful. But you actually jumped the gun on my next question. You want to tell everyone, like, quick, in one sentence, like what the Little Old Lady Strategy is if they don't know?
Well, the Little Old Lady Strategy is just a simple method that's been around for quite some time, even before Bryan even invented it. It's basically where you buy the bottom of the market, right? Or you can buy as the market's going down. And then when it goes up, right, you just sell half on a double, and that's it. There is no great magic to it. I would say the hardest part of the whole process is finding where to buy.
Where to react.
After that, right? Selling's easy.
Right? So what is your strategy when you sell that? When you exit and then you wait for a drawback? What is are you a Fibonacci guy? Where do you decide to get to re-enter?
I start to nibble at the 61.8. So most of the times, a lot of times when I start at the 61.8, it's very, 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 very tiny amount. So it's like practically insignificant to the whole portfolio. And then I start increasing it as as it drops, and all the way to 88.6. Now I have videos. These numbers and stuff like that sounds all confusing and like, oh my God, I'm never going to get this. But I have videos on my webpage, www.davincicodes.net, explaining all of this and how, like, assuming that you have no knowledge at all, even how to use a chart. And I explain every single aspect of it.
I'm going to put all your links
in
the description.
Put together, yeah. I put together everything. Like you didn't know, you didn't even know how to open up an account at an exchange.
Very
so
nice.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. So it's a good set of videos.
A vast idea of trading. Definitely get in there and check it out because I respect him a lot and what he's doing. So moving on, what about? I know you've told me your passion is programming, and I know you're working on. I think you released a Pandoras Wallet.
Yeah.
You want to tell everyone about Pandoras Wallet a little bit?
Well, basically, using the little lady strategy, with the $10 million, I realized that was a lot of money. I'm sitting.
It's not exactly easy to protect that, right?
Exactly. So I figured. I did spend another thing that when you have profits, you got to take it. And I took half that profit and it's not like I didn't get anything out of it. This whole trading process.
Mm-hmm.
And the other, right? I continue.
Are you there?
Hello?
I don't know. My app just shut down and I don't know what happened. That was really weird. I've never seen that happen before. I'm sorry about that. That was strange. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you all right, but you're frozen.
I apologize. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So where were you at?
Okay. So I don't know what part I was at, but
I lost you when you were getting into where you wanted to how you were gonna secure your $10 million reward.
Oh yes.
For your brilliance.
So what I realize is that money in the exchange secure that. I decided to build Pandora's Wallet so that I continue to trade, but have all these off, right? And only in the little lady time, the cryptocurrencies, you're just for that trade to occur. And so, it only makes sense to have the money in your hands, right? Whilst you're waiting. So, so that's why I developed this particular application. And then then recently, I'm going to be upgrading this application to do trading into it first before I add more coins, because I was actually being harassed by Bittrex for KYC and AML. And I'm like, dude, I made one deposit at your exchange and only withdrawals. How am I money laundering? Please explain that to me. Right? So,
yeah.
So I'm like, why do I have to explain where I got the money from when I got it from your exchange?
It's completely contrary to crypto anyways, but yeah, it's like, this is supposed to be your money,
And I'm like, right. And then they're harassing me for more information. Right. And I explained, okay, well, I got the original Bitcoins from mining and purchases and stuff like that from the very beginning. And I did all that, but they're still asking for more documentation. And so my last question to the compliance officer was like, so what more documentation do you need exactly? Right. Because they want to freeze my account.
Yeah.
Right. And
they wanted your money, right?
Went away.
Yeah.
What?
They wanted your money.
Exactly. So she's gone away. It's been a week since she last responded to that last question. And I'm like, okay, I need to take it all out and move it to another exchange. And I started moving it to another exchange. And that's a lot of work, right? When you have a lot of different cryptocurrencies, it's a very time consuming process. And because not every coin is on Pandora's Wallet. So I realized, you know what would actually help here? Because like all these exchanges are going to do this. They're going to want to turn themselves into banks. So basically banks do this. They ask you a bunch of questions about where you got the money, right? And so this is an example. Euro Pacific Bank, right? They only accept non-Americans, and I tried to apply for a bank. They asked me where I got the money, and they said, "Oh, no, thank you, goodbye." I mean, I can't open a bank account practically anywhere once I open my mouth and say I'm doing crypto. I mean, just to open up my business was to build software to trade crypto was a nightmare for opening up a bank account. And I said, well, I don't own anybody's crypto. It's just software for people to buy,
right,
to use with crypto. Right? So it was really difficult trying to get a bank to give me an account, believe it or not. So this is the kind of thing the banking system does, right? I don't want to get into conspiracy theories here, but I really believe they prevent us from inventing cool new stuff because they control who has money and who doesn't.
I'm not going to say you're wrong there at all. They definitely would like to stifle innovation as much as possible, I think, especially when it comes to transmitting value.
Exactly. And then, you know what, if you understand how the money works, right, the more assets there are in the economy to purchase, the more the money will have value. So because there's more places it can go.
Right.
And if you understand that, right, you have to always make sure that there's a lot more things where you're spending the money on. So you can't have, for example, electric car. I believe the electric car was stifled for quite some time because the electric car does not need a lot of maintenance, doesn't need a lot of parts, right? And so that was also stifled. And also cancer. I mean, that is a massive industry right there in itself. So if somebody finds a cure to cancer, a lot of money being spent will go away, right?
Right. So, I don't disagree with that at all. I think that cancer research has definitely been also stifled.
Yeah. So same with energy. I mean, right. if somebody comes up with a better alternative to oil, that's a lot of money and a lot of power. Since you all heard of the petrodollar, that will go away. So what are the odds that if I invented some energy saving system, that the bank's going to give me a freaking bank account for that?
That's probably why they don't teach us about Tesla in school. Nikola Tesla, he had some ideas about that. They really, they don't mention him. I don't remember ever reading about Tesla in school. Yeah. But what do you think?
Got off.
What do you think about privacy coins? Are you an advocate of privacy coins then?
Yes, we're definitely going to need privacy in cryptocurrencies because I think Andreas Antonopoulos put it best. Like, if we don't have privacy as a default, right, and we have it as an option, can you imagine if you walked in a bank with a ski mask because you wanted privacy? What would that look like? What would they think?
Right? And one of the worries is Bitcoin, we thought in the beginning was very private. It turns out it's completely the opposite, and that is a problem. One of maybe the only problem I really see with Bitcoin is its lack of fungibility. And, because it's not private, you could get a tainted coin. So that's also like an issue that I think a lot of people don't really understand yet. And we're just talking about getting your money off the exchanges, and that's a sure way that they can shut you down is if you get somehow a tainted coin, or they say you got a tainted coin, they can make your life a nightmare.
Exactly. So yeah, that's another issue right there. I'm hoping that Schnorr signatures and I forget what was the other ones. There's where we basically mix coin join,
Coin join.
do coin joins and stuff like that, and we get that all settled so that there's no way you have with plausible deniability, right? There's no way they can do anything when a tainted coin comes into a specific transaction, because it could be any other positive one. So yeah, that would be an awesome thing to happen for Bitcoin. Now,
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry?
I'm holding out hope that Litecoin, there are some good projects around privacy now, but I'm kind of holding out hope that Litecoin implements Mimblewimble, so we get, one of the bigger market cap coins, out there seeing what it can do. But then you have to worry about exchanges delisting and stuff, so it's kind of a tough call. I think it was going to be Charlie Lee said it would be like an add-on, like an option. So that would be interesting, but you just don't know what the exchanges are going to say.
Sorry, you're breaking up there.
Yeah, Charlie Lee said that he was interested in. He tweeted out that they're talking about maybe implementing Mimblewimble, which is a privacy application to Litecoin, and I'm kind of hoping that might happen, but then you got to worry about the exchanges, but he said it would be like an add-on, like an option. So I don't really know how that would work. I'm not a developer, but I'm just going to ask you a few more so that doesn't happen again. I appreciate your time, so I don't want to keep you too long. So
no problem.
You were actually on my friend Philip Kennedy's show the other day, Kennedy Finance, and I watched you guys roundtable. Just a quick question about Chile. Are things looking a little bit better this week than they have been in the last couple months? Or
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's still protests going on, but it's not as big as it was. The banks still have like metal sheets all around them. I mean, you can go in the richest neighborhood in the area, and they've got like absolute metal sheets around the whole bank's glass, and it's looks like a prison basically. Every single bank. And I don't know, it's just a policy here, I guess, for the banking system. But other than that, all the other stores have been taking down their metal, taking out the wood and everything, and everything's starting to come back to normal here. So yeah, I think things have calmed down, but the Chilean peso has taken a hit. And but the central bank is doing their thing, of course, and manipulating the currency. However, going into the vote for the Constitution, right? Because again, this was the whole plan, clearly, to change the Constitution. I think the Chilean peso will take a hit and go down in value, and yeah, it's going to be rough. It's going to be even worse here when people realize prices are going up.
Right. My thoughts and prayers with Chile. I just wanted to ask you how things were going down there. You spoke, was it last week at the LeBit conference?
Yes, I did I got to put that video up. I did what's it called? A small speech about where I think Bitcoin's going and so forth, and how not to trade and so forth. But yeah, not to trade. Well, I told people, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because it's too much. Honestly, before I learned how to trade, I thought I was a trader. Yeah, I did make some wins, but I made more. You learn what you need to trade. Just back away from the keyboard and don't hit that buy or sell button, please.
Educate yourself before you start tossing your money around. That's definitely, everybody needs to understand that. You got to do your own. You got to do some research before you start making trades. So just to get an outlook, what are you thinking here as we close out the year and head into a new decade? What do you see us at this point next year, and then give us like a 10-year outlook? What do you think about where Bitcoin will be a year and then another decade? Where are we going to be in 2030?
Oh, wow. Well, a year from now, I can tell you easily, but we're going to be higher than where we are today. Easy. Easy win for the on that one.
I totally
So
agree
that's
with that.
10 years from now. Well, I'm probably going to underestimate what's going to happen in 10 years. But I think that Bitcoin will be 50% of the economy, right? And like people like Peter Schiff will be forced finally to buy something with Bitcoin directly because there was no other means to do so.
I can't wait for that day. I can't wait for that day.
And he's still going to say that it's going to zero.
Maybe by then he'll actually, he'll be sending out his tweets or something on a blockchain. We have to record all these things that he said. Make sure that all these things are on the blockchain for record's sake.
Yeah, well, I don't think he could backpedal from this one. I don't see that happening.
It's an everyday thing with him.
Wow.
So do you think we're gonna head to $1 million? Do you think you see? I mean, that sounds like you do. If you think we're gonna absorb, Bitcoin will absorb 50% of the economy basically.
Well, I would say not the economy, the currencies,
Okay.
basically the functions of currency. So let me just backpedal that and say, not the economy, but the currency functions as currency. Now, I could be wrong. It could be like almost 100%, right? Right.
You heard it here first. 50% is the lowball number. Yeah, that's great. All right, and lastly, I want to ask you, what does Bitcoin mean to you?
Well, Bitcoin means freedom from government and the tyrannical behaviors of the socialist state, because they can only do things with force at the point of a gun. And we were headed in that direction. Before Bitcoin, I was so depressed with the direction of humanity that I thought, oh my God, the majority of people are going to be slaves and government slaves, and will be in the 1984 of society in the future. Right? I mean, it was clear to me that was the direction. Right? I'm seeing how everybody is behaving, and I was like, oh my God, what are we gonna? There's nothing we can do because, I mean, they control the media, they control every aspect of your lives, and they control the narrative. So it'll be difficult to get people out of this behavior. But now with cryptocurrencies, right, it's easier to move the money away from them, to take the wealth from the banking system, from the media giants, from the government, and then put it towards education of the masses.
Right.
And letting them know what's really going on. And the more money we have I've noticed the Bitcoin community is a larger community of basically capitalists and people who understand how our financial system works. Because honestly, if you don't understand how our financial system, there's no chance you're going to be able to want to use Bitcoin. But once you understand how it robs your wealth, right, there's no going back, right?
Henry Ford had a really famous quote about that, about how if I think it was Henry Ford that he said, if people understood how the banking system actually worked, there'd be a revolution by morning.
Yeah, by tomorrow morning. Yes, I know. And I really think there will be a tipping point for Bitcoin where everybody just like falls over because what happens is all the smart people get into it, and then everybody else is like, well, I must not know something that everybody else knows, that these smart people know, and then they just come piling through. So yeah, I mean, there's going to be that day when that comes. It's going to be very interesting because it's going to be happening fast.
Like a vacuum, we're going to bring these people along towards freedom. I see the same thing happening.
Because it's the truth, right? I mean, we have the truth behind us, right? They
Right?
have a lie and a theft, means of theft, right? We have a means of increased wealth.
And as
Which
the
one are you
internet
going to
becomes
choose?
more decentralized, like you and I would have never met. I mean, just
Exactly,
look at the opportunities, just in the friendships and
exactly.
just value being exchanged. So it's a beautiful thing. I really appreciate your time today, and I'd like to do it again sometime.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Glad to be on your show. I'm glad to be the first person on your show, and yeah, I hope you all the success. If you're interested in Pandora's Wallet, check us out at pandoraswallet.com. And also, we have free videos at www.davincicodes.net. Yeah, and I will be building out that software to make trades, basically, because you know what? I think the most important thing is decentralization, because when they come for us, and they will be coming, they can only go after the peripheral, meaning the exchanges, right? Centralized businesses, and say, hey, you can't do that. Once they can't go after that peripheral, right? Even if they say, okay, well, we're banning any businesses from using this money. If there's a decentralized exchange, well, the general public will use the money. Like, for example, small businesses will use the money and then grow faster than the large corporations. And then the large corporations will have to go, yeah, we can't let this happen. So we're going to have to stop this law because we
Right,
can't stop these people. You know
right.
what I mean?
By limit, we're people like you are it's a really important work you're doing. We got to cut out that third party risk because
Mhm.
that's really the essence of capitalism is peer to peer exchange, and you can't have that with a state, and especially a big
Mhm.
state with you're using their currency that they manipulate, like we've talked about. So yeah, I think Dex Dex's decentralized exchanges and ways to store value outside of a third party, or it's the future.
Exactly, exactly. And I'm looking forward to it. So
Absolutely.
again, check me out on Twitter. I have a YouTube page, both DavinciJ15, right? I have like a Instagram, but I don't really use it. And so yeah, so if you want, you can pretty much find me everywhere with DavinciJ15. All right, thank you
All
again
right.
for being on your show.
I appreciate it. Stay safe, and I hope to talk to you next year.
All right, see you next year.